What's up, everybody, and welcome to a very special holiday episode of Casters of Horror. I'm Chris Mess.
I'm Shane, and this week we're breaking down Christmas, Bloody Christmas.
Yes, Bloody Christmas.
Ho, ho, ho.
And it had nothing to do with the British, oddly enough.
No, it didn't. I was disappointed.
Christmas, Bloody Christmas. Nothing to do with it. But before we jump into our film, as per usual, we have a little bit of movie news. Movie news. I'm glad I'm not using like copyrighted wee anymore. I can feel a lot better about, being demonetized and all that sort of stuff. But anyway, Shane, you got a story for us, and then I got one that I'll jump into. Go ahead.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so this week Deadline is reporting that Nick Cutter's novel The Deep has been is being developed for television by Amazon.
I saw that.
Yeah, now this follows from, I think, 2019. We found out that his novel The Troop was supposedly being adapted for film by James Wan. Still waiting on information on that one. Hope that one's still coming because I love that novel. Yeah, I love this novel too.
Yeah,
this is a good one. In the novel, humanity has been faced with a new plague called the Gets, which causes people to forget little things at first, such as where you put your keys, and then later on, bigger things like how to drive, or the alphabet, or how to breathe.
Wow!
So in the story, there's been a breakthrough that could possibly lead to humanity's salvation, but it is deep under the ocean in a facility that has suddenly stopped communicating with the surface.
Or at least that they could remember.
Yeah, I guess so.
They forgot how to use the thing.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
So when a few more people go down, perhaps the horrors were best left into the deep.
Okay. Not just a few more people go down.
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't want to go there.
Perhaps humanity was best left forgetting. Anyway, I loved this novel. One of my favorite novels. So to hear that this one is now being adapted as a TV series, yeah. Big fan of this one. I'm really...
and who's this coming out through?
So Amazon is releasing it. Yeah.
Amazon's doing some big stuff, man.
Yeah.
It's cool. I heard that this novel actually freaked Stephen King out.
Yes.
From what I've heard.
Freaked out Stephen King. Clive Barker called it utterly terrifying.
Nice.
I personally think that The Troop is way more demented.
Okay.
Right, so I'm really looking forward to that if that actually does get off the ground as a movie. But The Deep is still a pretty unsettling, story. So, yeah, it's a good one.
Check that one out.
Looking forward to it.
Check it out.
Yeah.
I wonder if I have the Gets. I wonder if that's my issue. Because, I'm having some issues, man.
Yeah.
I'm having some serious issues. But, are you wearing gray? Like, that's great. That's a great. We did not intend on matching today. No. It's like we're in our PJs. We're all like, it's Christmas morning. So.
Well, I usually have on my light gray hoodie.
Yeah.
But it's a little too hot in here today for that. So.
See, I'm cold, man. It's cold here. Super cold here. But anyway, my movie news. This is it's not video game related, which is kind of your realm. But it is all the same. We have found out that Matthew Lillard, also known as Shaggy, from the Scooby-Doo films and also from Scream fame, as well as a few other things, as well as Josh Hutcherson. You guys might know him as PETA from the Hunger Games. Yep. They have both been slated to join the cast of the long-time anticipated Five Nights at Freddy's.
Oh film, yeah, I did hear this.
Which is going to be featuring Jim Henson's Creature Shop as the doing the effects for the creatures in that, the characters. Yeah. So we're going to have some full-on animatronics, straight up old school Labyrinth style.
Yeah,
or
that's cool.
the Dark Crystal, back in the day stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about this one.
Yeah. I'm not really, I've never played any of the games, but
Yeah. See, I haven't played the games, but I have watched enough people on YouTube because of my kid. Okay,
yeah,
so my kids
same.
watched enough people on YouTube play Five Nights at Freddy's that I know
Yeah.
that they could do a pretty good job with it. And Wally's Wonderland, which came out. Did you ever end up seeing Wally's Wonderland?
I still have not watched that yet. No.
Great film.
Yeah.
It was kind of in the same sort of vein as this. So I'm interested to see what they do with it. I have not seen a projected idea. They're looking at sometime in 2014. So, even though these guys are slated to be in the film, doesn't mean that they'll be.
Well, if it's 2014, then we are way
we are way late. So anyway, but I think that's all that we have this week for movie news. So, we will jump into this week's holiday film.
That's right.
Once again, like every week, these are spoiler-full reviews. We break down every scene-ish of the films that we've watched. Unless the scenes aren't worth mentioning, then we just kind of glaze over them. But anyway, we will be going scene by scene through these films, telling you the things that we liked and did not like about said scenes, unless, again, they aren't worth mentioning. We might have a couple of those. Anyway, this week's film is Christmas, Bloody Christmas. Let's go ahead and get into this one. Yeah. Unless you have anything that we, before we begin.
I don't think so.
We begin. Do you have any favorite holiday movies? Like ones that like every year you watch that, or even as a family that you guys get together and you guys.
I mean, I watched some Christmas classics. White Christmas, It's a Wonderful Life. Another one that I'll mention later.
Okay. I don't know if I have any that are like. I mean, like the old classics. I don't know. I know my family every year they try to get us into watching the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. Usually on Christmas.
Okay.
That's on. My wife and I, we watch Love Actually like every year. It's kind of one of our film things. There is another one, and I am trying to remember what it is, but I can't do that at this point. So we might as well just move on. I love The Nightmare Before Christmas always. So, but that one I can watch at any point.
That's another classic. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump on into this film. This is a film written and directed by Joe Begos. He's done a couple other films such as Bliss, which came out in 2019, as well as VFW. That one also came out in 2019 as well. VFW was like a group of old war veterans, and they basically put their life on the line to defend a young woman taking shelter at the local VFW. Anyway, that one's kind of his claim to fame film that kind of broke him out of everything. That's the first place where I'd heard of him as a director. We'll say that much. I mean, I heard that he had done other stuff prior, been in things and whatnot. Yeah. But anyway, that was kind of his early claim to fame. This film starts out with some like local access TV commercials.
Yeah.
Low budget looking stuff.
Pretty good though.
Yeah, they did.
These are some pretty good little segments here.
Yeah. So we get a few different commercials, like somebody's scanning through, just channels, so you see stuff coming up. I always like those spoof things, and we've got one for a type of like malt liquor or something like that, which it seemed like.
Irish whiskey for the whole family.
Yeah, whiskey for the whole family.
These kids open up their presents and one of them has a bottle of it, and the other kid's like, I want one of those.
Yeah, and what's funny is I wrote it down what the name of it was, and it's not in my notes.
No, I don't remember what the name of it was. I couldn't quite see the label.
It was that. Well, they even said it. And
Did
so
they?
I was like,
okay.
Yeah. And then there's another one for these military grade Robo Santa Plus, which will be rolling out into stores so that the Santas that you normally have at the stores, basically to make your family safer. Not having creepy Santas.
It says it replaces your local degenerate mall Santa.
Yeah. I've heard stories. I've had friends who've told me about like their kids and stuff, and they're like, that Santa grabbed my butt. And I was like, whoa, yeah. So yeah. And they were like older teen girls. So yeah, it was Anyway, creepy stuff. Anyway, so we get the commercial. TV shuts off. Next, we see Tori. She's walking. She like shuts her car door. She's walking towards a store. There's snow, whatnot. We see a storefront of sorts. She is carrying a crate full of something. It appears to be like old records and stuff. Tori is played by Riley Dandy.
Tasty.
Riley Dandy is known for a few films. She was in That's Amore, Interceptor, A Hollywood Christmas, California Christmas.
Really?
Some smaller films, whatnot.
Kind of into some Christmas movies.
Kind of into some Christmas. A Kiss on Candy Cane Lane.
Seriously?
Yeah. She's done a lot of Christmassy stuff.
Okay.
Some of those appear to be, are those Hallmark movies? Look like Hallmark-ish type movies. Netflix. So they're Netflix Hallmark movies.
Netflix Hallmark,
yeah. So anyway, I'm trying something different with the way that I don't know. I was lazy this week. So I have like people's names here like I normally do. Normally I write them all down, and then this week I'm just like, you know what? I'm just gonna actually pull up IMDb. So bear with me. Anyway, so she's walking into the store, which we find out is her store. It's kind of around closing time. The store's packed. There's tons of people in there. And then we meet up with a character named Jay. She gives Jay a hug. They are supposedly friends. Jay is played by Mr. Jonah Ray himself from the Nerdist podcast. He was also in Satanic Hispanics. The Weird Al Yankovic story. How to Deter a Robber, Dead Wax, some other films. So anyway, I was like, hey, that's Jonah Ray. Right on.
I didn't realize that's who that was.
Yeah, he's lost a lot of weight, dude. He's looking good. He is in there buying a present for what I suppose is his girlfriend, who we will meet later. We also kind of sort of meet one of her employees named Robbie. She just kind of hands him some stuff at this point, but we really don't meet him till this next scene. They've already closed up the shop. It is Christmas Eve, we find out. So Robbie, who's played by Sam Delich, I believe is his name, or the pronunciation of it. I'm not going to, look up like, hey, how do you pronounce, some of these people's names? He was in Spiderhead. He was also in RFDS, which was a TV series, Mr. In Between, another TV series, and Respect the Kink, which was a short film. I just wanted to bring that one up because the name sounded awesome. anyway, they are having a conversation about what they are doing that evening. So it goes into like she's got a date that she's met on Tinder.
Yeah.
He's just gonna go home, kind of drink maybe, or go hang. So he's trying to get her to hang out with him that night.
Yeah.
He's like, you don't have anything better to come on. Let's hang out. Let's get drunk, blah, 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 and all this sort of stuff. And she's like, I don't know. I'm meeting with this guy. And the guy, he's like, oh, I know that guy. He's yeah, blah, 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 and all this sort of stuff. And so anyway, he convinces her to hang out with him. But
yes. It's also worth mentioning that you just summarized that scene
within 30 seconds.
Way more quickly than it actually took to get through the scene.
This was probably a, what would you say, 10-minute scene?
Good grief. It was a really, really long scene.
There was a lot of dialogue. There was a lot of explanation of who this Tinder date guy is.
Yeah.
Kind of a creepo type guy. She then says that she needs to drop off a present to her friend Lana, which they've already proceeded to drink some of the whiskey that they were going to give to the friend. But she works at or owns a toy store. I'm not quite for sure. The friend Lana.
Yeah,
and, sure. And needless to say, okay, Tori's store. I did not specify what this is. It is a vinyl record VHS tape store. So it's like a eclectic media, old school hipster store.
Yeah.
If I could throw it any other way. It's a place that I would love going into.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of my jam. But so it's a cool store. I mean, it's got a vibe to it for sure.
Yeah.
They are going to drop off this present at Lana's toy store that evening, even though the whole town is shut down, because we find out that the town shuts down at 8:00 and nobody's out and about after that. From Robbie. He's asking why Lana is still there at the toy store. We find out that Lana and her boyfriend Jay, which we've already met, are going to be having sex in the toy store that night. And who wouldn't want to do that?
I got to tell you, I didn't realize that was the same dude.
Oh, really?
No, didn't have a clue.
That's funny. That's funny. Yeah, so they go to this toy store called TW Bonkers, which we've heard about earlier in the Robo Santa Plus commercial.
Oh, yes.
Because TW Bonkers was one of the places that was going to have one of these Robo Santas. We meet Lana, who's played by Dora Madison. Oh, my God! And my mouse is gone. There we go. Played by Dora Madison. She was in the films Dark Places. She was also on the show Friday Night Lights. She was also in The Loft and Everybody Wants Some. She was also in Alone with You and a long list of other films that I'm not going to
I've never heard of most of those, so.
Well, neither have I. But Friday Night Lights, I know of.
Yeah, I'm aware of that one.
Friday Night Lights. I have a friend that was in Friday Night Lights. Anyway, so they get there. Lana and Jay have already had some drinks. We see Robo Santa standing there. Might as well mention who Robo Santa is too. Why not? Abraham Benrubi. He is known for the films. He was in the TV series Parker Lewis Can't Lose. Heck yeah. That was an old school one.
Wow,
man. He was in 66 episodes of that. He was also on the TV show ER. He was in 137 episodes of that. He was in the film Open Range, Strange World. He did some Robot Chicken. He was the voice of Optimus Prime and Darth Vader, and the voice of Dominic Toretto. That's awesome on Robot Chicken.
He went from ER to this.
Well, granted, he also did the film Bliss, which was another Joe Begos movie. So then then this, yes.
Yeah.
Then this. So, yeah. Anyway.
This strikes me as a hey, we're buddies and I'm doing this movie, will you come be in it for me?
Yes. Yeah, because it's one of those you're not recognizable in this. So anyway, Jay and Lana proceed to do some drinks and drugs right there on the stage where Santa normally does his come sit on my lap kids stuff. Tori and Robbie decide that they aren't going to do any of the drugs. They'll just drink. They're all going to do cheers to Christmas type thing. And you hear Robo Santa go, ho, ho, ho. And they were like, oh, does he do that quite a bit? And they're like, yeah, sometimes he joins in while we're having our fun as a three-way. And they're like, oh, that's creepy and all that sort of stuff. And so anyway, there's a lot of talk that's just drunk talk at this point. And Tori and Robbie leave. That's the gist of that scene.
It really is.
This is going to be a quick episode, people. We see they're at the bar now, Tori and Robbie. They're at the bar. There is a TV reporter on the TV there. And he's talking about a recall of the Santas. There's a malfunction with them that is
causing them to revert to their Defense Department programming.
Yeah, because remember, these are military grade, made by the Defense Department. Gotta love AI.
Yep.
Oh man, this is where we're headed.
Yep.
This is seriously where we're headed.
Yeah. I mean, seriously, you know how the like Boston Dynamics has all those robots that can jump around and dogs that can open doors.
Oh yeah.
And I know recently they're
the ones with the guns on their back. Those dogs.
Well, they're going to be contracting with the government, and they're not going to have guns attached to them. They're not going to have guns attached to them, and they're going to have explosives.
Yeah, explosives.
It's like,
I've seen the videos with the guns on the back. Have you?
No, I don't think I've seen that.
I've seen them remote controlled with the guns on their back, where they're going and they're shooting at stuff with the guns, and they're controlling the guns. I don't know who did the videos, but I've seen it.
Huh, okay, wow.
With my own eye bulbs.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're at the bar. Tori says, hey, Larry, can you shut that off? Larry's the bartender.
Yeah.
Larry is played by Josh Ethier, who is actually the editor of this film. He was also he also did the film. He was the editor for Bliss. He was the editor for Gretel and Hansel, Orphan First Kill, but he also did some other films himself, and I'm trying to remember what they are. He's also an actor, too. Anyway, we'll get into those later. But anyway, he has a big connection with this film.
Okay.
And Josh Ethier is known for a lot of stuff. There was a film that he did, and I am trying to remember what it is. He actually wrote it and directed it. Now I can't. This is going to bother me. This is why I took my notes earlier, but whatever. Great guy. He used to follow me on Twitter, and then I went mentally insane and then stopped. Anyway, you can follow me again, Josh. I don't care. It's fine. I'm on meds now. So anyway, they start bringing up Emmett again. Larry knows who Emmett is. Jay and Lana knew who Emmett was, who was the Tinder date.
Oh, okay. I'm sitting here like, who is Emmett?
Yeah. Everybody else in the town knows who Emmett, the Tinder date guy, is, except for Tori.
Yeah.
Who has her finger deep on the pulse of the town, I guess. Anyway, it seems like the town's not that big, and the whole town probably was at her store earlier. Because...
Well, it's later in my notes, but there's some other things. You look at like the police cars are like old timey looking.
Yeah,
they look like they're maybe from the 70s or 80s.
Yeah,
and then
I have seen in some like Reddit forums and stuff on this film, they were like, "Well, this film was set in the 80s," and it was like, no, it wasn't, because they're mentioning there's points in this film where they go deep into conversation about bands and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and a
movies.
lot of these bands are new bands or new films. Yeah. And so it can't be set in the 80s.
No, I just think it must be set in this like little podunk town, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, it's very. I mean, it's not a police department. It's a sheriff's department.
Oh yeah,
so, yeah. It's not a big town or big enough to have its own police force.
Right.
So it is a small town. So they start going over all of Robbie's exes and all this. She's like, "Well, what about you?" and blah blah blah. Anyway, that's the extent of that conversation. It is literally setting up the story between Tori and Robbie at this point.
Yeah,
I
had written down earlier that they when the news report comes on, they're not even paying attention to it. You know, even before she asks him to turn it off, it's just depressing.
Yeah.
You know, I'm like, they're not even paying attention to it because they're too busy having boring conversations.
Yeah.
And often the same boring conversation over and over.
Yes. Now, some people did say that they were like, oh, this, and I hate to say this because I know people connected with all this, but some people were saying that they were like, oh, this guy's trying to be the new Kevin Smith that Joe Begos is by having these conversations and stuff like this. So he's trying to be the next Kevin Smith by having these types of deep dialogue conversations or
man, I didn't even make that connection.
And I was like, I could see that. I mean, or even Quentin Tarantino. You know, Quentin Tarantino and his films and stuff, they go deep into some conversations that have nothing to do with the film.
Yeah.
But he's just known for that. So, I mean, and Quentin and Kevin Smith both came out of the same group ish. I mean, they were both at Miramax at the same time. They both came out at the same time. So, I mean, when they were starting together, but separate paths. So,
okay.
I mean, I get at that time in the early 90s, which a lot of these people in this film, I'm sure, grew up kind of the same era that you and I did, where it was, you know, 90s was kind of our, you know, late 80s, early 90s was kind of the vibe, you know. So, you know, it has that feel, that Slackers kind of conversational stuff. Anyway, we get a scene back at the toy store. Lana and Jay are just kind of joking around. We see the Santa kind of come to life. You know, you hear some sound.
Some sort of like a radio interference it seems to experience.
Yeah.
It's really weird.
So you can tell that he's kind of coming to or whatever. I don't know. So then we get Robbie and Tori. They have another little conversation. Then we get a scene right back to the toy store. Santa's walking through it. The couple is now starting to get it on. There's something about eating. I don't remember, but and something about butts. Anyway, sizable butts. And then we get we're back at the bar. There's drunken theories about bands becoming horrible after they cut their hair off.
Yeah.
And then they're getting ready to leave, and then the sheriff of the town shows up. He comes in because literally the bartender is like, "Hey, I'm closing up. I got to get home." And then the sheriff comes upstairs and he's like, "Hey, I need a drink. I'm gonna buy a round for everybody," which is just literally Tori, Robbie, and the bartender. But he's like, "I'm gonna buy drinks for everybody." Blah, 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 blah. The sheriff is played by Jeff Daniel Phillips, known as Mr. Rob Zombie Everything Films. He's been in 31. He was recently in The Munsters. He was on Westworld, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Undercover Brother 2. What the hell? Satanic Panic. If you've seen any Rob Zombie films, though, he's been in them. Except for The Devil's Rejects, he wasn't in that one. The newer ones. Anyway,
he was in Satanic Panic.
Yeah, he was in Satanic Panic.
I can't picture him. I've seen that one, but I can't picture him in it at all.
Yeah, I like Jeff Daniel Phillips, man. I like him. When I saw he was good in this. I was like, yeah, I love this guy. Yeah. Anyway, go watch him. He's in every Rob Zombie. I'm not gonna lie, man. People give him a lot of crap, but Rob Zombie horror films are really what got me into horror. And like really got me like really, really into it. Just because I was a huge Rob Zombie fan anyway, musically. So anyway, they have a round. They think that the cop's a douchebag, blah, 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 blah. He leaves and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So
I said that the sheriff came in just to be depressing and
just
leave.
To be depressing and to introduce himself to the viewer,
the audience,
basically. Yeah. I mean, really, there was no other reason besides that.
Yeah. He was in this scene so that we would know that he's a character later.
He's a character later. He knows Tori.
Yeah.
He doesn't like Robbie. She's like, oh, he's okay. He's just been through a lot type guy. You can tell that he's telling Tori to be careful and all this. So he has some sort of relationship with her, telling her just, be safe type thing. So he's going to look out for her. You can see that already. Robo Santa finds an axe. We hear a lot of sex screaming in the background. Then it goes back to the bar, then back to Santa.
There's a lot of back and bouncing around.
There's a lot of bouncing back and forth. We get Robo Santa from his POV, which I found this POV, or the point of view, for people who were like, POV.
Yeah,
it's like, I've only heard of that in porn. POV, point of view. I found it very jarring. It was hard to see what was going on as the Santa. I mean, there was a lot of movement and a lot of this, and I was like, I can't find a person and what he's doing. Anyway,
I mean, this is your typical, almost like, like a Doom type, POV.
Yeah.
You have a weapon there. I honestly think the reason you might have felt that way, that it was hard to see, is because the lighting in this movie is so weird. It's often just lit with Christmas lights.
Yes. So. Yeah. It's very neon-esque, dark lit. Yeah. Like you said, Christmas lights.
I'm not kidding. A lot of times all you have is red and green lighting from Christmas lights.
Yeah.
That's like,
you're not wrong.
And I think this is actually one of those times. And so it makes the footage, the POV footage, like you said, kind of jarring and almost grainy.
Yeah. To me,
really
if they had just pulled that camera back just a hair, just giving us just a little bit wider. I mean, because it was almost like when you're looking at something, you at least have some form of peripheral, just slightly. And this felt like it was taken away from you.
Yeah.
So it was just slightly too closed in for me.
Yeah.
With this shot. And that's just as somebody who likes to do film. To me, if that shot was just a little bit wider, I would have been happier.
Yeah.
But Santa POV kills Joe right in the back with the axe.
Yeah.
Lana starts running and screaming. I assume she has clothes on again. I don't know. I couldn't tell. It's just jarring.
Yeah. She runs to the front of the store and can't get out.
All right, not only does she run to the front of the store, she's like laying on the ground for no reason.
Oh yeah.
At one point, we don't even see her fall.
No,
that's the thing.
No, but first she runs to the front door. this is a retail store, and now it's my turn to nitpick.
There you go.
This, because you and I have both worked retail, we have both closed stores retail.
Mm-hmm.
It's a simple, there, door's unlocked. That's all you have to do.
It literally was. It was just, and you can see that on the door.
Yeah. She does it earlier. She locks and unlocks the door earlier. And she goes up there and she's like doing the,
Yeah, she's trying to pull on it and like bang on the doors and all that sort of,
Like, I've done this. You had plenty of time to and open.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Yeah, it's just, now we got Shane's soapbox.
I know, right?
Much like last. Yeah. So anyway, I'm not giving you your own graphics. It took too long. Anyway, so he is Robo Santa catches Lana, starts beating her head against a cabinet.
You mentioned earlier that she's suddenly on the ground.
Yeah.
Right. And I had said, if you're gonna trip over a horror movie, at least do it on camera.
Yeah. Because I mean, there's no explanation why she's on the floor.
No, she's just laying on the ground.
Yeah, because that's the best thing to do when something's coming after you. Tori and Robbie are walking outside. They're going back towards their cars that they had left. They hear screaming from inside the building, and they assume it's Jay giving it to her real well.
Because they hear screaming and very loud banging.
Yeah.
Right.
So not the banging that they were assuming.
No. It's the banging of her head being banged against the counter.
Cabinet. Yeah. Glass cabinet counter thing. Yeah. And then Santa kills her.
Yeah.
Santa then comes out of the store. He doesn't like break through the windows or anything. He must have found the lock.
Apparently he figured out how to turn the lock. Yeah.
There's no breaking. There's no nothing. He's just walks out.
I didn't even think about that, but you're right.
Yeah. There's no glass. There's no nothing. Because Tori and Robbie aren't far enough away to not hear if glass broke.
Right.
So he literally just unlocked the door and walked out.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay. So he sees Tori and Robbie. We have more drunk walking and talking. And they get back to Robbie's car. He's like, no, let me drive you home. You're too drunk, blah, blah, blah. And he's obviously drunk. So they get into the vehicle. They kind of have a rough start of it. And you're like, uh-oh, is Santa going to catch up to him? No, he doesn't. Start the vehicle.
Now, I just noticed this in my notes at 2 different times. I didn't realize I had written this the first time. I put, she says, do you not listen to him?
Okay.
And I'm like, and I wrote, how many times has she said this already? And then I wrote that again later in my notes. So,
see, I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
Okay.
She's like, do you not listen?
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see where this goes with you. I am. I'm interested.
Okay.
So when it comes up, make sure to stop me, because I want to see if it plays into a little bit more than what I'm thinking. So they start with the vehicle. Santa is walking. We see him walking towards them.
Yeah.
Not very robot-like whatsoever. So I'm like, well, maybe it's because he's military grade. Maybe he just has smooth movements. And then he gets closer to the camera, and then you start hearing.
Yeah, you can hear the servos.
Yeah,
inside moving and stuff. Yeah.
So anyway, you're just like, oh, okay. Now again, this film is made to just be fun. Okay, it's not to be taken super seriously or anything like that. I get that. Okay, so I'm going to give it that. We pull up to Tori's house. She's like, we got to be quiet. My sister and her husband are here. They're I guess they're just staying there, or they live there or something. I don't know.
I'm not sure.
They're in the downstairs area. They have to be staying there, because the husband says something later that I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So, Tori's house, her place is up on the top. The sister and the brother down in a bottom area. This next scene is like their opinions on music. You're right, I'm right, you're wrong, blah blah blah, flirting, blah blah. They're gonna put on some music. It's like some bluesy rock type stuff. Now, I do have
quite
to say,
loudly too.
Oh, very loudly. They're not being quiet whatsoever.
No, we have to be quiet. Blare the music.
Yeah. We see then Robo Santa has found a house that's fully lit. Now, here's what's funny about this, in from something that I read later about this house. When we are inside the house, it is okay. So the outside of the house that we see that's all lit up and everything, it's the same house that they use for her house. So when you're inside,
really,
when you're inside the house, it's the house that we see that's all lit up. When it's dark, it's another angle of the house. They just used the same house to film. Even when they're looking through the window later, they're literally just looking out towards the woods, and they put that other house there. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm like, that was well done as far as the budget.
I didn't catch that.
Budget-wise, that was great. I really liked that. So you could see with them being in the same sort of area, wooded area, whatnot, kind of secluded, that there would be multiple houses that look the same, so it made a lot of sense. So
she does mention how much I can't remember exactly what she says, but she mentions the neighbors' Christmas lights, and I don't know, she thinks they're obnoxious or something. I can't remember exactly what she says.
Coated. That house was coated with lights.
And again, these are those big Christmas bulbs.
Big glass ones. Yeah.
The red and green. And
yeah.
Oh man. And that's all the lighting we get.
Yeah.
Going back to what I said earlier. Yeah. All these scenes in that other house are lit only with red and green. It's so weird.
So this brings us to our next scene. Robbie and Tori have smoked some of the marijuana, a little bit of the ganja. So they've got the munchies, and they make themselves a tray of nachos. Here is the most controversial part of the whole film. Robbie puts salsa on the nachos pre-cooking. Sir, you and I are both nacho aficionados. What are your thoughts on this? Salsa pre-cooking or post-cooking?
I would do post personally.
I am a post-cooking as well.
Yeah.
I am a
pre-cooking is a little weird to me.
Yeah.
And that's, I mean, if you're gonna toast your nachos, like that. Usually, I make my cheese separately, and I might mix in the salsa or whatever.
Wait! You make your cheese separately. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't.
Are you a nacho? Are you a drizzle nacho cheese guy, or are you a shredded cheese on top, baked it?
Oh, I'll do either way. I just love nachos, so I've done it in any.
You're like cheese on chips. I'm good.
Yeah, whatever. It doesn't matter to me how you do it. Honestly, it depends on what kind of cheese I have.
Yeah. See, this is how much I like nachos. I'm the type of guy that will go to Dairy Queen, the local Dairy Queen, and I will get their nachos because they are cheap. I love the cheap cheese nacho. Where it's like, just give me cheese, chips, and jalapenos. I'm good. I will take it. There's something about that. I don't know. There's something about some junk food that it's just perfect. Yeah. And Bang. that's one of those. Yeah. As I smack my microphone. Yeah. You guys take that. Perfect. Anyway, but that was just kind of an aside because I knew that you and I are both nacho guys.
Yeah.
I've made breakfast nachos before too. This brings me up to Christmas. Breakfast nachos are awesome. If you guys haven't done it, some scrambled eggs on top of it, and then you do some crumbled up sausage and whatnot, and you put that onto there, or bacon, and then you put your cheese and bake it off.
I've wanted to try that ever since you posted about it some time ago.
Yeah. That was years ago.
Welcome to the Nacho Podcast.
Yeah, welcome to the Nacho
Breakfast nachos, lunch, dinner, dessert nachos.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I made so many of those. I made so much of those breakfast nachos for that YouTube show that I had that for like 2 or 3 days.
Nice.
Not kidding. Anyway, where was I at? Breakfast nachos. There we go. Salsa pre-nachos. All right. Well, we needed something to talk about. There's so many things we can gloss over. Anyway, we get some movie talk about like how they have horrible taste in movie, blah, 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 blah.
Oh my gosh, dude. She says that Blair Witch 2 is a classic. At this point, I'm rooting for Santa.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So,
okay.
we will have to say their taste in music and their taste in movies sometimes just kind of got me. Anyway, then they finally start to make out. Finally, it was starting to get really, really awkward how close they were getting to each other while kind of like getting into each other's faces about this. But finally, they start making out. We see Robo Santa break through a door. You're like, oh, is this her house? Obviously not, because they're not hearing him. There's more making out. We hear a dad yelling downstairs to where Robo Santa is, and he's like, you better not be opening any presents, Freddy. And then there's more making out up the stairs.
Yeah.
Then we see an axe going into the dad's back because he's come out to check to see if it's the kid or what's going on downstairs. Robo Santa puts an axe into the dad's back. Then we start seeing Tori and Robbie stripping down. And then we find out that Robbie really likes to eat cats or kittens or kitties of some sort. He's a pescatarian. We'll put it that way. Loves fish. And you see the dad trying to crawl away. Santa pulls the axe out of the dad's back. The dad screams, and so does Tori for way different reasons.
Yes. Synchronized screaming. Brought to you by Joe Begos.
That's kind of the end of that scene. Then we see Mom.
And I do note here both these scenes, because we're going back and forth,
it's very
both of these scenes are really going on for quite a while.
They really did. This, I mean,
as he is, because the dad in the other house is like crawling away with the axe in his back.
Yeah. And then we keep going back to Tori and Robbie, and it's Dad crawls
and the thing is, you've gotten a look at this upstairs of this house, right? Because when Santa came up the stairs, Dad comes out and is like, "You better get out of my house," right? And that's when Santa chucks the axe at his back.
Yeah.
This, I don't know, man. He crawled for a long time for as small as a room as that was. And it took Santa a long time to walk up to him.
Yes, it did.
Oh my gosh.
It did. Because, I mean, for as long as it took Santa to get there, what Robbie was doing, I keep hitting my mic. For what Robbie was doing, I could see it taking that long. It's Robo Santa and Tori's thighs. That's basically what you see.
Yeah.
The mom is now up from the house where the dad with the axe and
the Christmas house.
Christmas house. The mom's up. She sees Santa. Santa chases her into her bedroom, and then she hides in the bathroom and locks it. We're back to Tori and Robbie again. We find out the Tori has a really nice ass.
Tasty.
And that's all we get from that scene, really. She puts on her clothes and walks back downstairs.
Yeah.
And Robbie's like, hey, what about me? Yeah, whatever. Santa then just breaks through the door and kills Mom that fast. I mean, there's no lingering with her. The kid wakes up. He's like, Mommy, where? Mommy. And then he's like, oh, Santa, where's Mommy? And then he's like, did you bring good presents? And then he starts going to the presents and starts opening them up and all this. It's the middle of the night, It's like the kid's opening up presents. Tori changes the record. Tori's burned the nachos at this point because there was other eating going on.
And now I'm definitely rooting for Santa. You ruined a plate of nachos.
Yeah, not just a plate, a whole pan.
Oh, yeah, a whole pan of nachos.
Yeah, that's come on, Santa. Kid's opening up the presents, and then he's like, why are you so bloody, Santa? Yeah. And then Tori hears the kid like, Mommy, yelling from across the way.
She hears it. The kid's not yelling.
No.
He's basically like talking quietly.
And it sounds like he's in the next room.
It does. It sounds like this honestly confused me for a second.
I thought they were in the same house. I was like, oh, maybe this was the brother-in-law and sister.
Yeah. Yeah. Really? Because it sounds like he is standing in the same room with her. That's how clear this little kid's voice is.
Yeah. So she hears it because she's Professor X. And telepathically, she's heard it. Or she's, Henry Cavill. And who's not Superman anymore. Yeah. Surprise. If you guys haven't heard the news. Or Geralt of Rivia. Revia. He's not him either. I'm going through some things right now. Where was I at? Okay. So Tori looks out through the shades. Looks out. She just sees trees. In real life, but it's actually the house it's been put there. She sees the house over there, and she watches the kid get killed by Santa. Santa's killed the kid very, very quickly. She's like, Robbie, and he's coming running down the stairs. She's like, we gotta call the cops. And he looks out and he sees Santa over there across the way, and he's like, oh, so he goes to call the cops. She runs downstairs to wake up the sister and the brother-in-law. The sister is name's Liddy, played by Kansas Bowling. This one was kind of exciting to me. Her and I are friends on Twitter. It's one of those Twitter friends things.
Oh, really? Okay.
She did a film. She's part of that Trauma group.
Yeah.
All that kind of stuff. Her first big movie was called BC Butcher through Trauma, which some of these guys, a couple of these guys got through the Trauma stuff. And that's how they all kind of became friends and whatever through there. But the husband, Mike, is played by Graham Skipper, who I actually talked about his film. Was it last week or the week before? The Beyond the Gates.
Oh, really?
He was in that. Yeah, and I believe he also wrote it, I want to say. I think he directed it, too. Anyway, he was part of Beyond the Gates. And Joe Begos was part of Beyond the Gates, too. So, anyway, all these guys are kind of intertwined through stuff.
Bro-in-law is also the best character in the movie.
Yeah, because he's kind of this, like, he doesn't want to be there. Yeah. He's just like, and they're like, he's talking loudly. He's like not understanding why they're all, all this stuff's going on and blah, blah, blah.
It's a shame he gets like 2 or 3 lines.
He got 2 or 3 lines. The power goes out. Yeah. They're hiding. He doesn't understand what's going on. They see Santa's silhouette through the windows and all this. Robbie's over by the window. First, I can't remember why. He's over by the window. That's all I remember. We see Santa's silhouette go past the window. They think that they're safe. They're like, whoo, he's walked by. He's going to leave us alone. Nope, Santa busts through the window.
Yeah.
Robbie blocks the axe with a mannequin.
I guess.
Assume...
I thought he grabbed someone else for a second.
So did I. I thought he grabbed like the sister-in-law or the brother-in-law. And then when he takes the thing and pulls it over in front, I'm like, oh my God, is that the kid? I had to go back and rewatch this scene because I thought it was the kid and Santa had like thrown the kid into the room and Robbie just grabs the kid as a human shield, and all this. But no, it's like, I guess it's a mannequin and the mannequin goes flying across the room like, and all this sort of stuff. So, and then next thing we know, Santa grabs Libby's head and just snap. She's dead that fast.
Yep, she's gone.
And then the husband's like, I don't understand what's going on. And then he dies. I mean, it's boom, boom, dead. Yeah. They're dead. There's no prolong. It's just dead. We see them dead.
They were introduced so that there could be a higher body count, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. So Tori and Robbie escape. They get into his car. Once again, it's not starting up. Finally, it starts up. Santa's watching from the balcony. And they see him. They're like, oh! So they take off. Just hits it into reverse. Yeah. And then he crashes into a tree. Robbie crashes into a tree at this point. And then they get stuck. They can't get out. So then
He actually crashed into the neighbor's car, didn't he?
Well, see, he gets stuck at first, and then he gets out again when they see that Santa's not there anymore.
Oh, okay.
Then he floors it again. They back up and then hits the neighbor's car.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
The neighbor comes out. His name's Benny, because everybody's got a name in this film, not just neighbor with car.
Yeah.
Benny comes out, played by Mr. Joe Begos himself, the director and writer. He's all pissed that they hit his car. He's like, you hit my car. You're going to pay for this. Blah, blah, blah. I just had it detailed. Blah, blah, all this sort of stuff. And then Santa just kills him.
Yeah.
Dead right away. Throws him through the windshield head first then. They then proceed to crash again.
Yeah.
And are stuck again.
Another car crash, I wrote.
Yeah. Santa then comes up to the car, rips the guy and the windshield right out.
Yeah.
Pulls him out. One throw. Then he grabs Robbie and pulls Robbie through and throws him down. Robbie's like climbing up the front, the hood of the vehicle, and then just boom, axe through the head.
Yep.
Robbie's dead.
That's it. Robbie's gone.
Right? Yay! There's no prolonged kill to Robbie at all. You would have thought that maybe this kill would have dragged out a little bit longer, but no.
Yeah.
No, very, very fast. A cop shows up. Cop shoots at Santa and drops him with 3 shots.
And I'm not sure were they able to call the cops, or had the neighbor called the cops? Or
no, I'm pretty sure Robbie was able to get a hold of the cops before Santa got there. Okay. So the cop came. He fires the shots. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah.
This cop is also played by one of the, I believe, producers or somebody from the film. Okay. So everybody in the cast is basically also the production team. Which keeps everything cheaper. And it's just a bunch of friends making a movie. And that's what that to me, I liked about this. I really did. It's a bunch of friends making a movie together. So the cop shoots him, boom, 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 3 shots. She's screaming. She's like, we need to get out of here. We need to get out of here. And he's like, help's on the way. Help's on the way. She's like, you sure he's dead? And he's like, yeah, he's dead. He's like, you need to just stay calm. Okay, get into the car. She's like, I'm pretty sure he looks like the guy from the toy store. He must have stolen the suit from one of the Robo Santas or whatever and put the suit on, and now he's out killing people.
Yeah, because she doesn't realize that the Robo Santas have gone rogue, right?
Yeah, because I guess she wasn't paying attention at the bar, like you said.
Right. But I think he stole the. It's a Santa suit.
It is a Santa suit. But she said he looks exactly like the guy from the toy store.
So he looks like Santa.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
there's a guy in a Santa suit. Oh, there's a guy in this exact same Santa suit.
Yes.
From this one specific location.
Yes. And he's like, you mean the one from TW whatever it was? And like, yeah. So Cop and Tori looking at each other, not paying attention to what is going on beyond the windshield wipers. But we are, and we get the Mike Myers sit up shot from the Santa. He gets up, steps onto the hood, takes out the windshield with like the axe or something. A lot of windshields being thrown out of cars in this film. Just so you guys are aware. Because we ain't done yet. Oh, I think the windshield count was higher than the body count. I'm not going to lie. Rips the windshield out. So the cop gets out. He's got his shotgun now. He shoots Santa. Santa kind of flinches back, grabs the gun from the cop, and shoots the cop with his own gun.
Yep.
Now Santa's got a gun. Santa's got a gun. Boom, boom. Santa's got... then Tori runs him over with the car.
Yeah.
With the cop car.
And then turns around and runs him over again.
Yeah, backs out of there. Because she can drive, obviously. Then we get the Santa going like glitching out, like light coming from behind his beard. He's like, ho, 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 Merry Christmas. Kind of glitches out. We hear some, dispatch coming over the cop radio. Tori answers it. She's like, I need help. People killed, blah, 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 and she's trying to say what's happened, what's going on with it while she's driving down the road. Okay. An ambulance starts coming towards her. She's like, oh, thank God. And she stops. She gets out of the car. She starts trying to flag the cops down. And then we get Senior Asshole Cop who gets out of his car and he starts to arrest her because she has stolen a cop car.
And she has blood absolutely covered in blood.
Yeah. She's covered in blood. And he's like, where's Officer such and such? She's like, he's dead. And he's like, you killed all these people. She's like, I didn't kill all these people. He's like, you're under arrest. And he's grabbing her. The cop is played by Jeremy Gardner, who did the film Almost Midnight with my friend Brea Grant. And he's done a ton of other stuff too. He's a great writer, film director, and all that. Check his stuff out. Anyway, he's part of this too. Then we hear over the radio confirmation from other officers. They're like, it's a bloodbath up here type thing. And there's, everybody's dead and blah, blah. There's no sign of the killer. There's no sign of a Santa, type thing or anything like that. So he's like, I'm taking you downtown or whatever. It's one of those things. He's just going to take her. He's going to arrest her. So next we're at the sheriff's office and she's sitting in a chair, still covered in blood, talking with Sheriff Monroe. And Monroe's trying to understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Asshole Cop's still being an asshole.
And the sheriff does believe that she had nothing to do.
He's like, I believe we know you didn't kill anybody. We know, blah, 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 and all this. I'm just trying to understand.
He's not quite buying the killer Santa thing.
Yeah. So. And then Asshole Cop's like, we should just take her down and, blah, blah, blah. And finally Monroe's like, you just be quiet, type thing. He's like, go check. Double check and make sure that the other officers are okay and all this. He's like, no, we need to go in. We need to guns blazing and all. He's just like, just go call. So he gets sent out. Monroe's like, hey, look, I'm going to make a cup of coffee. Why don't you go? There's a restroom down the hall. Why don't you go get cleaned up? She goes to the bathroom. She's covered in blood. We get this kind of breakdown moment. She's kind of like taking in what all. I hit my mark. Keep hitting it. So I talk too much with my hands.
Yeah.
Way too much with my hands. So she's like smoking a cigarette, just kind of trying to take it all in. She starts hearing arguing through the walls. A-hole cop is like, no, I'm going in. There's no response from anybody on the scene. I've called officer such and such and blah, blah, blah. And the medics, nobody's responding.
Yeah, because he had sent in, when he arrested her on the road, he had sent the other cops on to the crime scene.
You guys go on ahead. I'm going to take her on.
And the ambulance, he sent the ambulance, the paramedics on,
Yeah. So we hear sirens then coming towards the station. They're like, oh, great. So, they're back. And they're like, wow, they're moving really fast. They're not slowing down. And all of a sudden, Tori's like, oh, F. It's him. And then we see A-hole cop go, who? Santa Claus? And then Santa then crashes into the cop cars. And you see big explosions in the ambulance. It's like everything's exploding and all this.
Blows out the windows, so it's not a windshield, but I think it should count.
Yes. The window count.
The windows of the building.
Oh yeah, in the windows of the building, yeah. As well as the cop cars, though.
Yeah.
So then she's like, they're like, you stay here. We're gonna go check. And she's like, give me a gun. And so the sheriff's like, give her your gun. And he's like, hell no, I ain't gonna give her my. So finally, she just grabs the gun from the cop. So she's got a gun now, and there's no sign of Santa anywhere. And she's like, stay away from the car. He's in there, from the ambulance. Stay away from it. And Sheriff Monroe's like, oh, I got this. And he's going around the back of the ambulance. And all of a sudden you hear, or gunfire. You hear shots. And then you see Sheriff Monroe flying over the top of the ambulance, dead. I was like, well, that was fast.
Yeah.
And then A-hole cop shoots Santa. And then Santa grabs the gun and shoots him. And he's dead.
He's dead.
I was like, wow, that was fast too.
Yep.
Anticlimactical. So Tori finds shotgun and shells. She loads. Okay. This is going to bring up, here's soapbox moment.
Okay.
She loads the gun. We watch her load the gun. Okay. She's all alone. There's no power. Can't call for help.
Yeah.
She tries one phone. She goes to another desk. Also, no phone. You've already checked. There's no phone. The phones are not going out. Anyway, she hears the dispatch. It's still on. Blah, 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 blah. She hears glass break and boots. She hides underneath a desk.
Yeah.
For some reason, while he's walking, she's making a lot of noise.
Yeah.
He's throwing desks and all that, but she's still loading the gun.
Yeah. Yeah.
And trying to be quiet while doing it. And I'm like,
instead of doing it while he's making the ruckus throwing the desks,
she's doing it while he's quiet. Yeah.
Yeah. I also noted here that
she's already loaded the gun.
Yeah. Well, and
it's fully loaded.
She had tried to raise dispatch, right? But then he killed the power. Santa killed the power.
Yeah, all the generators, everything. Gone.
Yeah, and the only reason you can tell this is because the dispatch computers go off. It's not because of the lighting, because the lighting is already so bad in this building.
Yeah, the lighting is... Yeah, and I mean, you can tell that the power had already gone out to the rest of the building. It was just the dispatch was still up, because I assume it would be generators, because you actually hear generators powering down.
Oh, okay.
So that, to me, is why you hear the...
okay, yeah. I assumed that was when he cut the power to the whole building.
No, because, see, when he blew up and took everything and all that stuff blew out and all that sort of stuff, you could see that like the power had already gone out to the rest of the building.
Okay.
So at this
point,
see
well though, because the lighting with power on was very bad. So
it was very dim. So you could be right, but I don't know. I was like, okay, if the phones are down, the computers are down except for a laptop.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, maybe the power's already, and it did sound like a generator when the power did go out.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, oh, okay, whatever. So he starts throwing the desks, all but one, of course, the one that she's hiding under.
Yeah.
She looks out to see where he's at, and he like looks over, and I'm like, did he see her? Did he not? Then you see legs in front of the desk where she's hiding. She's trying to be quiet now. She's covering her mouth. And then Santa just leaves. And you're like, well, you've thrown every other desk
I know.
except for this one. And then the desk gets thrown.
Yeah.
And he grabs Tori by the hair. She lifts him up, or he lifts her up, and then she tases him with a taser that she's found earlier.
Yeah. Yeah.
Electrocutes him. La, 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 la. He shorts out, but not for long. He comes back up. She runs, jumps into the ambulance that he's ran and exploded into everything else and gets it started. That is a sturdy vehicle.
Yep.
Santa then proceeds to grab a hold of the back before she gets away and holds on and then pulls himself up onto the back of the ambulance and gets in through the back doors. She does some evasive driving and like kind of slams him from side to side a couple times. Yeah. Shakes him. He gets up to the front where she's at. He gives her like this look. And then we get a few seconds of her still driving towards a car while he's still just looking at her. He hasn't grabbed her at this point. And she crashes into a car and he goes through the windshield.
That's right.
Another windshield down.
Windshield down. And Santa flies without even needing a sleigh.
There you go. There you go. Rest in peace, windshields. Let's take a moment of silence. All right. So anyway, another windshield gone. She gets out. She's going to face him now. He starts to get back up and then collapses. Because that's what robot Santas do when they're tired. She then gets back into the ambulance, pushes the car that she has run into over onto Santa. So he's stuck underneath it.
Yeah.
She rips her sleeve off, stuffs it into the gas tank, lights the sleeve, takes off, boom, car bomb. And we see Santa on the ground flailing because he's in pain.
Presumably, that explosion took out the windshields of the other nearby cars, too.
The other nearby cars as well. So, more windshields gone. We are now up to 21 windshields at this point, I believe. She then has to break into her own store because she does not have keys.
Yeah. And I didn't realize this at first. I was just like, she's breaking into some random nearby store. And then once she got in there, I was like, oh, it's her store. Okay.
Yeah. And the only reason why I knew it was her store when she was trying to break in, there's an electrical box on the wall, and next to it, they have the words, Lemmy is God.
Yeah.
She's a big Motorhead fan, and you could see those words through the window. So I was like, okay, this is her place. So she breaks in. She sits down, she has a cigarette, and it's like, oh, it's over. Like, she's back in a place where she feels safe.
Yeah.
Now
she doesn't run to try to raise. I mean, obviously she can't call the cops in her own hometown, but she could call the cops.
All dead. Yeah.
Right. But this is one of those small towns where, like, when you call the cops, it doesn't necessarily go straight to the station. It goes to dispatch. It goes
to a dispatch of some sort.
Right.
Yeah.
But no, she doesn't run for a phone. She runs straight
to a wall.
Yeah,
and slumps down with a cigarette.
Yeah.
Because at this point, the threat is over.
Yeah.
The threat is over.
Yeah.
Oh, wait. No. Santa now has laser eyes.
Yes. Specifically, those super powerful green laser pointers
Yes.
That's what those are. I know I have one of those things.
Yeah. So it can look at things with the laser eyes to get a fix on something. Yeah. And then it can use them like powerful torches and cut through things, much like the car that he cuts himself out from underneath.
Oh, does he use the... Yeah. Okay. Because I wrote down, I'm like, okay, apparently these are literally just laser pointers because they don't appear to be harming anything that he touches.
No, so he uses it to cut part of the car, and I think he also cuts one of his arms off. From what I remember, so he can get it out from underneath it.
Okay.
So then he gets up, because I believe he only has one arm in the axe now at this point. And he's walking into the store, and we see his laser eyes searching.
Yeah. Okay. But not damaging anything. So apparently he can choose to damage something.
Yeah, he's just searching. Yeah.
Okay.
Satori grabs a sword from a mannequin, and I've been trying to figure out what this sword is. I've seen this sword, and I'm like, I know that this sword has significance. So if you guys know what the sword is, make sure that you guys put that in the comments down below.
You know what my first thought was?
And while you're down there, make sure to hit like and subscribe.
My first thought was like, another final girl with a sword. Okay.
Yeah, no, I did too. I was like, okay, we've got our Terrifier 2 moment. Yeah. So she's got a sword, and she's hiding. The laser eyes still looking around, and then she comes out from behind a shelving unit and stabs Santa in the guts. And just starts wiggling it around, and you hear like...
She does, but first he gets a very clear lock on her.
Oh, yeah.
Right? I mean, both laser pointers zero in right on her, and then she takes her sweet time getting up there and jamming the sword through him. So I'm like...
He could have torched her.
And that's why I thought that he couldn't do anything with those laser eyes, because he didn't,
Yeah. No, he used them like a torch on that car and on his arm.
I didn't even notice that. Okay.
Yeah, it's like, shh, and you could see him cutting and all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So she does. She takes her sweet time getting up to him. So she stabs him. He could have torched her at this point.
Yeah.
So this is why it becomes crucial later when she's trying to get away, and she's like, no, every time that those lasers were on her.
Oh, yeah.
Otherwise, it was just like, what's the point? So she grabs the phone.
Finally.
Because at this point, Santa's dead. She stabbed him in the guts. He's dead. Oh, no, he's not, because the laser eyes comes back out, and Santa starts pulling the sword out.
Yeah.
And he gets it out, and now he's coming towards her again. And she lights a trash can on fire with her lighter and holds it to the sprinkler system, and the sprinkler system goes off, and Santa, like, takes the axe to her, hits her in the leg, and like she falls, and then she gets up, grabs a hold of the countertop, and then he chops like all of her fingers off on one hand, and she's like, ah! And then he shorts out from the water, and then you're like, okay, it's over. She starts crawling to safety. You're like, whoo! All right.
He basically apparently was built with one of those sparkler fireworks inside of him.
Yeah.
Because that's what shoots out of him.
Yeah.
It's like, a sparkler.
We get like dun, 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 dun,
yeah,
fireworks, a whistling Pete or a piccolo Pete coming out of him and stuff like that. And so you're like, okay, it's over. She's crawling to safety. Nope, we get laser eyes again on her. He then is crawling towards her. She's trying to crawl away. He grabs her. She drops a shelving unit on him, and he shorts out again.
Yep.
But then the laser eyes come back, and they're both crawling, and then getting closer and closer. She's up against the wall. She rips a conduit off the electrical box, and pulls the metal Okay, it is metal. Okay, here we go. Contract. Pulls the metal sleeve off of the exposed wires.
Yeah.
Okay. If you have two exposed wires, You're pulling a metal sleeve off of it. At some point, you think you'd get electrocuted, but no.
Yeah.
Gets the sleeve completely off of it, grabs the 2 bare wires, and shoves it into him. He electrocutes. Boom! He explodes.
Finally.
And then the laser eyes. No.
I know, right? I wasn't sure.
Yeah, I wasn't for sure. The parts could come back. He explodes. Yeah. She goes out of the building. She's holding onto her hand. It's snowing heavier. She collapses onto her back out in the middle of the street, crying. We go to still frame.
Yeah.
Credits.
I was going to ask you too, because this entire last scene, like after he blows up, we get it's that thing where they do, sometimes it's still shots, or in this case, it's just a bunch of very short video shots, but they're like the camera's flashing at you, it's black, and then it comes in and you get a short shot of her moving, goes black, and it comes back in, another short shot. I was like, is there a term for this? Because if there is, get that term and banish that term, because I hate.
Yeah, where it goes like out. It's almost like somebody in the middle of blacking out.
Yeah.
But then like coming back to. It's like these moments of like, like what's happening? You know, it's that's what you're talking about, right? Where it's like, it's just like that
sort of thing.
It's like these points where it's almost incoherency.
Yeah.
It's like these trauma has happened and you're missing parts of what.
Yeah.
It's signifying PTSD almost to a certain extent.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah.
I really can't stand that cinematic trope in movies. So I don't know, it was a really irritating thing for it to end on for me, but whatever.
Yeah. And I get onto Reddit. It's fun for me. And some people were like, did she live? Did she die? Like, what happened? Like, she's just out in the street and then she's just all of a sudden still. Like, did she live after it? And in my honest opinion, yes, I believe she did live. It.
That's called a freeze frame, kids. They've been doing it since, sitcoms.
Yeah, the 80s, and they all jump up and they're like, high five. Or if you're homeschooled like me, it's a homeschool high five.
Yeah.
Slap your own hand, kids.
The only I can't believe people actually asked that, because the only question I had at the very end was that last shot a shot of her, the freeze frame? Was it a shot of her screaming or laughing? Because it almost looks like this deranged laugh, like.
Well, I mean, I know she was crying.
Okay,
she was crying because of everything that was going on. Everybody's dead and all that, and to me, that's kind of where it froze. Was just on her crying. So the film then ends. Now, honestly, I sat through all of the credits because I was expecting Laser Eyes to come back from somewhere else. Because that would be, to me, with where this film was going, I was expecting to set up for a sequel.
Yeah.
I was expecting something like, oh, it's not over type thing. There's more of these out there. Is this happening somewhere else? Is this still a continuation? What's going to happen? There was nothing. So this appears to be a one-off. So
I didn't sit through the credits, but I did pan through the credits real quick, because I was also expecting some Laser Eyes to pop up at the end.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one of the big takeaways for me was like, I was sitting there and I was like, holy crap. I know a lot. I mean, these people, when I say I know these people, I've either had conversations with them or talked with them or known each other through Twitter or whatever. And I'm like, these people, they're like, I've had interactions with, or through other friends, I know these people and all this sort of stuff. So I was like, oh, that's cool. And I didn't even realize that, Liddy and Mike, the sister and brother-in-law, that they were Kansas and oh man, I tripped out on his name. Graham. Yep, Graham. Anyway, so yeah, sure. Graham Skipper. Like we do every week, sir. Drum roll. What'd you think of this film?
That drum roll was an apt summary of my thoughts on this film, actually. I think this was a serviceable, okay second half of a film.
What do you mean by that? I'm trying to... Okay.
So, I feel like this movie actually kind of starts when she looks out the window and sees Robo Santa kill the kid. Okay. And then finally, this becomes a movie that's like, I don't hate this. Not because of the kid, but because from that point on, now we're actually getting something that's actually happening instead of just conversation after conversation after conversation and argument. I don't know how many times in my notes I'm like, oh, they're arguing about music, they're arguing about dates, they're arguing about movies, they're arguing about nachos. I mean,
yeah.
So, no, I mean, I thought...
To me, like, hearing some of these arguments and stuff like that is a normal conversation for me on some things. I'm just like, this is like, like I have my opinions on some of this stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay, and I'm not saying that it was handled well in this. It was like very wordy.
Yeah,
there was a lot of it. But I mean, that's... I saw myself kind of in some of those conversations at times. Yeah. So, but continue.
I don't know, man. This one really didn't do it for me. I can't imagine like purposely sitting down and watching this again. I mean, I don't know. It just didn't work for me. I thought it was way too... So many of the scenes were just way too long and drawn out, and there was just so much nonsense, wordy conversation, arguing going on. I just couldn't...
Yeah.
And then a lot of the things, even in the back half, which I think is a way better movie than the front half of the movie, it's pretty generic. I mean, it's not terrible. It's fine, I guess. For the second half of the movie is fine. That's my review. The second half of Christmas Bloody Christmas is fine. So I guess Odie Christmas is fine.
And you guys are welcome to use that for any of your promotional stuff.
Oh yeah,
if you'd like.
Out on DVD. Put me on the back of the DVD.
Yeah, on the back of the DVD, not the Blu-ray, just the DVD, or maybe the VHS.
For this movie is fine.
I'm sure that they will make a VHS copy of this.
Yeah,
for some people out there. Also going off of how much they talked about VHS and vinyl.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that there will be a VHS copy of this. So you can put Shane on the back of this or put the podcast on it. It was fine.
Yeah.
So
the second half of the movie was fine.
Half of the movie was fine.
Horror.
Casters of Horror.
And like you said earlier, the fact that this was just, this was low budget, just a bunch of friends making the movie.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, there were points of this movie where I'm like, this actually looks pretty good. Aside from the lighting, like the actual filming, the cinematography actually looks pretty decent.
Oh yeah, they did a great job with the way that it looked. Yeah.
Yeah. So
and they kept it very consistent that way.
Yeah.
So my take on this, I thought that the dialogue was too long and the kills were too short.
Yeah.
it was the setup was very drawn out.
Yeah.
To not have the payoff be worth it.
Yeah.
Again, I thought that the kills were way too short. Which sometimes in films you're like, you take a Jason kill, okay, from Friday the 13th or something like that, okay?
Yeah.
And you're just like, oh my word, this is taking forever for him to kill this person. I'm not saying you have to go that long. Just longer than like, hi, I'm dead. It's just like that fast, So there was, to me, the setup was not worth. I like to quote the film. It was the one with Alicia Cuthbert and Emile Hirsch, and it was the one where she was the porn star, and she goes to the prom with the kid.
Girl Next Door.
Yeah, Girl Next Door. See, I'm telling you, man, I've got the gets.
I've never seen that movie.
Oh, it was a great film. There was one line in it: "Was the juice worth the squeeze?" And I would have to say that in this film, the juice was not worth the squeeze. So to me, it was a lot going on for not much payoff.
Oh yeah.
In the end, I did like the fact it seemed like one of those type of films where people had a lot of fun making it. It was a bunch of friends making a film together, and I don't belittle that by any sort of means.
Oh no, absolutely not. I kind of liked near the end the way that Santa just wouldn't go down.
Oh, no.
Everything she did, and it looked like that was it. But nope, here he's back. I actually kind of liked that. How long? I hate to say drag this out, but I mean, how long is that going to go on?
Yeah, and to me, even to me, that even just went like, really? He's again? Yeah. And but it almost was like a Monty Python type feel to it, where it's like, I'm not dead yet, type thing. It's like he just kept coming back, and so it was very comedic in that aspect. And this movie was meant to be a comedy, horror film.
What?
So, yeah, it's supposed to be like a comedy type horror. It's what it's described as. Yeah, it's like a comedy horror. I mean, there were some funny aspects to it. I mean, you got to give it that, but or not. So. I mean, come on. They're throwing literal people just being thrown over cars. It's like, yeah. There's supposed to be some comedy aspects to it. But again, and I hate to say this but I mean, I have seen people saying this about it. They're like, look, if you don't take the movie seriously, it's great. And I'm just like,
I don't know if I'd go that far.
Yeah, I was like, okay. There's a lot of people who like it. I am not one of them. Like you said, it was fine. So that's our official take on this film. How was it that you put it? The second half was fine.
Yeah, the second half was fine.
Yeah, I think it was right around the orgasm and on.
Yeah,
I think that was yeah. The best supporting actor in this whole thing was her thong. Anyway, yeah. So that was our take of this film. The second half was fine. You can use that however you'd like. Casters of Horror approved. So
that's right.
Would I ever watch it again? Probably not.
No.
Yeah. I don't see the need. But anyway. But guess what? There's some films that you guys might want to check out instead. And they'll be coming out here in the next few weeks. and we're going to put them on the screen right about now. You guys can check these out either in theaters or on some form of streaming or demand or wherever you prefer to watch your films. Yeah, go check these ones out. We may be reviewing one or two of these here coming up soon. I know Megan should be like right about somewhere up in this area in here.
Oh man, we are coming up on the
that one's coming
on the new year, aren't we?
Yeah, coming up very, very quick. Tell us if there's any other movies you guys want to check out, not necessarily from this list, but I mean, they could be old films too. We'll be happy to take a look at some of those. Make sure that while you guys are commenting on those, make sure to hit like and subscribe while you're down there, because I can't say that enough. We need you guys to share this thing.
We do. We're getting some decent views, but
we are
not really getting the subscribers. So if you're watching,
we need more followers.
Yeah,
I mean, Jesus had more followers than us, and we don't even know how much of that to be. Anyway, so I heard somebody say the other day, they were like, "No, there was gays clear back in the Bible times. They were called apostles."
Oh, jeez.
They all hung out together. Anyway, I was like, that's pretty funny. Was that on the Bros? I don't remember what it was on. Anyway, where are we at? Oh, yeah. Towards the end of each episode, we like to do something that we call horror stories from history. These
is that what we're calling it this week?
Sure. Why not? You'll see it up here somewhere, shaking on the screen. I can never remember the name of it, and so I'll just make it up every week.
Okay.
Why not? I will come up with a new name for it every week. Yet the real name is up here, but I still fail to write it down to actually say what it's called every week. But I digress, because the music's going to run out before I'm done. Anyway, this is going to be a Christmas themed one, as
festive,
festive. Yes, a holiday one, if you will. If you're not into the Christmas thing, this is an Xmas one, a festivities extravaganza. Anyway, this is the story of the Mistletoe Bride. That haunts England's Bramshill House. The legend of the Mistletoe Bride comes around Christmas time. Sir John Cope. I'm sorry. Lord Lovell was preparing to wed a young woman. And while they were celebrating their upcoming nuptials, they were having a party. They had mistletoe hung up all over the mansion, and they decided to play a game with their party guests. The whole wedding party to be. The young bride-to-be would hide somewhere in the mansion, and all the groomsmen would go and try to find her. And the first one that found her would be able to kiss her under the mistletoe. This doesn't sound awkward at all. So she proceeded to hide. The wedding party sought her out. However, the minutes then proceeded to turn into hours. They could not find her. The hours turned into days. The days then turned into years.
What?
And it was not until 50 years later, Lord Lavelle, still trying to figure out what happened to his soon-to-be bride, happened upon a secret closet in an upstairs room. And inside he found a wooden chest sealed shut with a lock. Upon opening the chest, he found the nearly unrecognizable remains of his bride. She had locked herself accidentally inside of this chest.
What?
Way in the upstairs recesses of the mansion, and died within.
Wow.
Don't play hide and seek, kids. It's dangerous. It's dangerous. Don't
play some violent video games instead.
Yeah. Yes. some horror video games.
Wow, that's messed up.
Yeah, man. I've been known to be claustrophobic, but now it's like, yeah. Yeah, I've worked in restaurants and stuff, and they're like, go into the walk-in freezer and get that thing. I'm like, what if I get locked in there? I'll like freeze to death, you know? And they're like, oh, it's not gonna happen. One time I couldn't get out, and I was like, oh no. And then somebody finally came in and let me out, but I was like, that freaked the crap out of me. Anyway, but yeah, so that's a real life horror story from this week.
Wow.
So anyway, stay in school, kids. I don't know what that has to do with it, but whatever. Right before we go, we like to do a little segment called Pick or Pass, or unless you guys have a better name for it, mention that down in the comments as well. These are films or anything horror related that we've come across in the last week or so, or that we've seen just recently that we want to tell you guys about. Shane.
Yes.
You go first since I just talked my ass off. Why don't you go ahead and say what you have to say on this one?
Well, my pick this week is a full-length movie.
A full-length movie?
I know, right?
No way. There's
a Christmas movie that you actually should watch.
Hey.
A Christmas horror movie. This is Anna and the Apocalypse.
Oh, I've heard of it. I have not put my eyes upon this one yet.
Yes.
But
when a zombie apocalypse threatens the sleepy town of Little Haven at Christmas, Anna and her friends have to fight / and sing their way to survival.
I was going to say, this is a musical one, right?
This is a zombie Christmas musical, and it is hilarious and brilliant.
I still have to check that out.
I've seen it described as, one reviewer described it as Shaun of the Dead meets La La Land.
Wow.
And I think that's an apt description.
Wow.
And yes, spread a little holiday cheer this Christmas and go add Anna and the Apocalypse to your holiday Christmas classics that you watch every year.
Man, I really should have watched a holiday themed one.
Yeah.
But yeah, I really should have, but I didn't. And that's bad of me.
What did you watch?
Because I was tired of the 24/7 Hallmark movies that are playing around. My wife's a huge Hallmark Christmas movie fan, so I'm just like, I need something to get my brain off of Hallmark movies or Christmas anything. Yeah, man, I prefer Halloween. Give me Halloween, I'll take that. You know, Christmas can come and go. Anyway, kind of playing around with some of these people and all that sort of stuff that we just watched a film of. A connection with them is my good friend Bria Grant. She did a film called 12-Hour Shift, which you guys need to go check out if you have not done so. It is the story of a group of nurses, one of them who is a drug-addicted nurse, and her cousin have been trafficking body parts from some of the patients, and something goes horribly wrong when a kidney goes missing. Anyway, it all takes place within a 12-hour shift at this hospital, and great film, written and directed by Bria. Really, really well done. Angela Bettis plays the main nurse in it, and she does a phenomenal job. It's worth watching. It's definitely worth watching, and it's got David Arquette in it, who plays
nice.
He plays a convicted felon who gets arrested, but he's brought in for treatment before they take him, and he escapes. And that becomes part of this 12 hours along with everything else. So anyway, it's worth checking out. 12-Hour Shift. If you guys get a chance to see it, it's definitely a pick from me. And since she's friends with all these guys that we just watched this movie of, I was like, hey, yeah, she's kind of my connection to partially my connection to some of these guys. So yeah, I was like, I'll bring it full circle, and I like promoting her stuff because she does some good work, man. Yeah. So anyway, that's my pick for this week. Again, if you guys have not hit like and subscribe, please make sure you do so before we close out. Leave comments in there. We love to read them. We love to answer them. And give us some ideas what you guys want to see from the show. Yeah. So next week, sir, which film are we doing when we come back from this bit of a Christmas whatever? What movie are we going to be reviewing next?
We will be breaking down Bones and All.
Yeah, little Timothy Chalamet, if you will. Cool. Very, very cool. So I'm excited. I'm excited about that one. Anyway, again, like and subscribe before you guys take off. That's it for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did not, screw you. So
leave a comment and tell us how much you didn't like it.
Yeah, do so. We want to hear. They're like, hey, the fat bald guy, we don't care for him. And I'm like, so I'm the one who talks. So anyway, it just be like a 3-minute episode if he wasn't talking. But anyway, leave some comments down below. We'd love to hear from you. That's it for this week. I'm Chris Mess.
I'm Shane.
And have a happy however you celebrate. We'll see you guys.
See ya.
Ha 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 ha!